My name is Kwabena Chenche. Many thanks for joining us here on News Desk this morning. And let's start off with that very discussion that has been raging since morning. In fact, it started late last night and it's been raging this morning, and virtually everybody is talking about it. It's trending also on social media, particularly on Twitter. But let's get to the issue. And it's about a House of Folk coach who we are told has resigned, or we don't know whether or not he's been sacked. But a House of Folk has parted ways with head coach Kenichi Yachuhachi. Now, the split follows the inability of the team to accommodate Yachuhachi's need for a prolonged leave of absence to enable him undertake a training course. Now, his departure comes just 6 months into his 2-year contract with the club. Prior to his exit, though, Yachuhachi had been in the news for a number of reasons, including one where he even threatened to leave the club over its failure to pay player wages. But let me hold on. There because George Ado Jr. of our sports desk is joining me in studio now to help us understand what really the situation is. He has a lot more on that, and he's joining me now in the studio with some more. There's been a lot of reactions as well to it. We'll be coming to that in a bit. But George, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, great to be here with you.
Weird to have sports start off News Desk,
of course.
Yachuhachi has been trending for a very long time since he took over. Really surprising, particularly after seeing a lot of people praise him and
Hearts of Folk do well.
Hearts of Folk doing so well.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of songs composed for him as well. I mean,
yeah, great songs composed for him.
I mean, why is he leaving?
Chenche, I think it was still going to happen anyway. Even if anything happened now, it was going to happen. I think behind the scenes, those of us who were following Accra Hearts of Folk had an idea that things are not rosy between Kenichi Yachuhachi and the management of Accra Hearts of Folk. That is where everything started. I think in the beginning they saw Kenichi to be a man they probably could move around because his asking price wasn't that expensive. He was looking for something in the region of $1,005 for a coach was really cheap.
Okay.
Because even David Duncan, who left the club, was in the range of about 8,000, 10,000 thereabouts. So they expected him to come down. He looked like a simple coach, but starting to work with him actually brought out the dynamics that he was not too comfortable with what it was in Accra Hearts versus the status quo. Now here, he would normally go onto his social media accounts and say things as he felt it was. Yep. He would go into meetings like he told us and get frustrated because the meetings were too long. He didn't understand why management members would want to get into the dressing room to talk to the boys when they were not technical men. He didn't understand why he needed to get to a meeting and try to submit a sort of a report to people who knew nothing about football, according to him, so far as he was concerned. He didn't understand why players were not paid. He didn't understand why, other members of his management team were not paid. I mean, the technical team. So it was very clear, that's the point, that Accra Hearts of Folk were finding a way of getting rid of Kenichi Yachuhachi. Now, that point must be stated. You remember in the build-up to all of this, when Accra Hearts of Folk played against Ashanti Gold, there were reports that if he had lost that game, he was going to be fired. Then he went away and won the game. Then when the Hearts were about to play Brecum Chelsea, I think on March day 12 or 11, there were rumors again that if he lost to Brecum Chelsea, he was going to be sacked. Then he won all the away games, had a fantastic away record, and did badly at home. Then, of course, the Kumasi Asante Kotoko Accra Hearts of Folk game, even then, people were. So, for me, it's clear that there was definitely going to be a parting of ways. But how it was going to be done was a big question. Now, there are two things here.
Okay.
Let me put down two things. Number one, Kenichi Yachuhachi always knew that he was going to be filing for this leave he wanted. He wanted a 25-day break to go to India. 25 days off to go to India to study more. It was a course that he didn't want to miss because when he was signed on in December 2015, he told them that this course was available and I wanted to go, and they agreed. They said when he gets there, we'll know what to do. At the time, per Kenichi Yachuhachi's calculation, if we started the Ghana Premier League in December, by July it should have been over. There should not be any issue by now. But the Ghana Premier League delayed and started late in February 2016. That has pushed him into this. So Accra Hearts of Folk are saying that when they look at on paper, the sort of games they have to play. Second round begins on Sunday. They have to play Dreams, play Brecum Chelsea, play Diana Stars, and even play Kotoko. The 5 games are so crucial to the season. And then are saying that if you want to leave us for 25 days, these 25 days unfortunately represents the peak of our season, and it could really determine where we end on the log. Then we can't do with you. So on paper, Hearts of Folk are telling us that they could not deal with his absence for 25 days. But before that happened, a coach, former coach of Benfica. Now you know Benfica's at a big. He's actually touted Junior Mourinho because Mourinho worked around the time when he was in charge of FC Porto.
Okay.
He was in Benfica. Benfica is a big team, and there's a former coach, Sergio Tranquillo, and he was already appointed days ago as the youth coach of Accra Hartsville. If you've been following the history of Accra Hartsville, when they want to evict a coach, they start by saying that he's a youth coach, he's a technical director, he's a what. So I'm sure somebody in the Kenichi camp told him that, my friend, it's time, the guys want to get you out of it. And so Kenichi just goes for it and asks for his 25 days, and they tell him we can't do it, and there's a parting of ways. So it's a story that was going this way. We all saw this coming, actually.
I don't know, but for me, it sounds a bit... I don't know how to describe it.
You get it. He brought a lot to the Ghana Premier League.
Exactly. He brought a lot of excitement to the
Ghana
game.
Premier League. Really. A number of Accra Hartsville fans wanted to go to the stadium to go and watch Kenichi at Tanahashi. And we saw that famous, I think we still have it running unscripted, Sushi Soccer. Kenichi himself was able to brand what is Accra Hartsville, because in the past 7 years, Hartsville haven't found themselves where he put them. Now you can say that under Duncan, they came and they were second around this time, but he brought a lot of aura, and that we had not seen fans. Duncan was doing well with the club, but we had not seen fans troop to the Accra Sports Stadium and have a record close to 38,000, fans watching Accra Hartsville Kotoko, watching Accra Hartsville Bechem United. So I think in the first instance, it's a huge loss. From the Hearts management, their perspective, they will think we need to work with somebody we are comfortable with, and they'll think it's a good decision. But for the players and the fans, like the reactions have been pouring in on Facebook, because he once again took to Facebook and stated exactly.
So let's talk about that very post he put up on Facebook. And we know this is not the first of a kind. He's been doing this, and the last time he put up one, in fact, we were told even led to a meeting of some sort where he was reprimanded for that and all. So let's take a look at that. It's right behind you. Maybe you could take us through what he's saying in that very statement.
So he says that my fantastic time in Ghana with Accra Hartsville in the Ghana Premier League has come to an end as of today. Now this was posted yesterday, and it says, and he mentions the Monday, 20th of June, 2016, 4:30.
He even gives the time.
He gives the time. At the Heart Secretary where I met the management. Now, at the time of signing my contract in the first week of November 2015, you want to note this, I told the managing director at the time that I have a prior commitment in July 2016 that I can't change the date. At that time, the GPL was scheduled to start by December 2015, and we assumed that the league must be over by July 2016, or at least very close to the end of the season. So he said, we will deal with it when the time comes. As you know, the start of the GPL got delayed from December 2015 to the end of February 2016. Therefore, end of season got delayed to the end of September 2016. So I approached the board about the 25 days and the 5 matches I will miss. My first option was to let my 2 assistant coaches take care while I'm away. If that's not acceptable by the board and management, then we must terminate my contract to replace me by someone else. The board and the management decided to terminate the contract now, and I signed a letter of termination of the contract by mutual consent. What my prior commitment is in July 2016 is something I would not discuss publicly. I asked Hartsville's management not to reveal it, and they agreed. I have had great memories of Accra Hartsville for a good time and for a difficult time. I thank my supporters for their criticism in the beginning. That made me push harder to do better. I also thank them for unbelievable amount of support after the first league match. Without their support, I would not have accomplished what I had accomplished today. It is bitter that I have to leave now. I thank our players for making unbelievable efforts that they made and teamwork they had shown. We achieved many successes, because of their efforts and teamwork on and off the pitch. I thank my 2 assistant coaches, Nasam Yakubu and Yalpreko. We 3 were perfect. It was just excellent working relationship we had together. I'm sure I will work with them again. I thank you. I thank for our staff for coping with my demands. I thank the club for the opportunity. It's bitter that I must leave now midway the season. It's disappointing to find myself in this situation. I don't think we can point any single person out for what has happened today. For sure, time I was with Hartsville this year was the best time in my coaching career so far. I'd like to concentrate on my commitment in July 2016, the first, and I would think about my future in August 2016. Thank you, everyone, and keep the ball rolling. Now it's clear.
True.
So you can ask yourself the questions and why. It confirms why I'm saying that Hartsville wanted the guy out, because it's an option. If a coach is not around for 25 days or for 5 match days, he has a team he has been working with.
Of course.
And the team can go in.
True.
And what's more, this is more of like a course, even if it means, because he's talking about 1 month period, maybe he's going to handle a team for a tournament. I think that's likely. Yeah. He goes and comes back. The best man for you. The fans can take it that 5 days our coach, or 5 matches our coaches will not be around. After all, in other leagues, we have seen coaches banned. True. Mourinho is banned for four matches, 5 matches. Yeah, true. You don't sit on the bench, you know. So, in the context of it, you feel that truly, the management wanted to kick, Kenichi Atoachi out. So we're left to find out what the ripple effects will be.
It's interesting, and like I said, the discussions have been raging on social media since last night up until now. I know you've been speaking to quite a number of people on this issue. I don't know, for instance, whether or not you've been able to get in touch with Yaprekun, one of his assistants, or any of the others.
The technical team, we haven't spoken to anyone yet, but we've spoken to management members. Frank Nelson spoke to us, and Frank Nelson says that they couldn't do anything because for them, and from the management's point of view, they have 5 critical matches. Now, I understand the matches are absolutely critical. I mean, the second round, critical matches, I agree. True. But they're saying that critical matches, we cannot deal with the absence of a coach. So they think it's right to let the man go.
So, assuming without admitting that's true in any way, does that mean they're not going to look for a coach? Unless, of course, what the analogy you brought up earlier...
Sergio Tranquil is a new coach. I mean, I can say this easily. Well, they can go ahead, but I know Sergio Tranquil is a new coach. And you cannot have, you see, I was saying, you cannot have a former coach of Benfica. And I was giving you a little bit of what Benfica is. Benfica is like the second, rated team in Portugal. FC Porto, Benfica. They've been to the UEFA Champions League and, Europa League finals a couple of times. So you can't have a former coach of Benfica come to Hartlepool and be a youth coach. That was just in disguise. I think he'll welcome your new man. Junior Mourinho is the new coach of Accra Hartlepool. I'm sure about that. Tranquil Sergio is the man who has been brought to take and step into it. But I think it's going to have massive effects. I mean, some neutrals who were going to Accra Sports Stadium to watch it. Hartlepool fans were going. I think that we're yet to find out. I won't rush and say people won't come to the stadium because Hartlepool fans have to understand that it's still their club. Coaches come and go. Right. Chelsea fans are really on there. Mourinho is crossed over to Manchester United.
This is also a high-profile coach anyway.
Yeah, high-profile coach for you. So let's see what he brings on board. But we're hoping that the interest of the Ghana Premier League could be sustained and keep it where we were because we're having some great time going to the stadium and watching games.
I see. Right. There are quite a number of messages coming through on our various social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Quite a number of images, quite a number of comments as well. There's also quite a number of messages on Kenichi Ashuhashi's post, quite a number of comments on that as well. I don't know, maybe when George joins us a bit later, he'll try and take a few of those comments for you. So, George, many thanks for joining us on News Desk. And I said it's pretty weird to start News Desk with a sports story like this, but
it's on everyone's mind, really.
Exactly, so we had to do this.
That's right.
Thank you for your time, George.
Thanks.
And that was George Addo Jr. who joined us in studio to help us understand really the circumstances leading to, should I say, the dismissal, sack, or the termination of his contract. I'm speaking of Kenichi Ashuhashi, that's the head coach of Accra Hearts of Oak. And already, according to the information we are getting, there's a new man in the team who might be taking over the affairs of the senior team. I'm speaking of Accra Hearts of Oak. We'll see how that pans out, and we'll be bringing you more on that also subsequently when George joins us a bit later on with some more.